reuse of content is like our favorite topic, because we never want someone to use something once. That's a waste.
Yeah.
And so like, how can we take stills from a video? How can we use that video in a gift? How can we break it apart and make it for social media?
Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena podcast. Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. We got two pretty ladies here today with my good buddy and partner, Jonah Fry here. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about marketing and helping our audience understand how to truly utilize media in order to grow their business. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I want to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are and what your business is.
So I'm Rachel Ledet, the founder and owner of 3090 Marketing. We are based in the greater New Orleans area. There's a few of us on the North Shore, a few of us on the South Shore, and we are spreading into Mississippi currently.
Very cool.
Yes.
Olivia, what is your backstory?
Well, I am Olivia Matthews. I am the marketing director at 3090 Marketing. I've been with Rachel for going on 2 years. And this is the first time I've been on the consulting side. Usually I've been in-house marketing for a number of firms previously. I'm originally from New York. But that's that's the very short story. I don't know how else how far you want me to get into it.
How hot is it down here compared to New York? I've been in New York in the summer. It's really not. It's just as hot whenever the middle of the day and all those buildings and concrete heats up. It's like a sauna walking around.
Yeah, and I was there 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and they had a heat wave, and everyone was panicking. It was like 101. It was cooler here, and I was strolling. It was not a problem, so that felt good, and it was great.
They don't get it.
I am tough. They don't get it. They don't get it.
So 3090 Marketing is, we just got done talking a little bit about how y'all are different than other marketing agencies, and I often get the question like, y'all are everywhere. How are you doing so many things? How are you growing your business the way you're growing your business? And it's all about being intentional. And so, most marketing or social media managers, right, which is kind of a bucket that some people get put in, is they manage social media. They post on social. It's hard to predict ROI. It's hard to show value whenever you're just posting if you don't have the buy-in of the organization. A lot of times organizations hire social media managers just to do it so they don't have to, and then they don't contribute at all, right? So the strategy part of it is what is going to set you apart, and that's what y'all do. So let's talk about how y'all strategize and organize the work that you provide for your clients.
So strategy is really a key word for us, because whenever we're going to work with a new client, whether it's a solopreneur or an entire company of 300 people, we always sort of back up and start with questions and auditing. What assets do you have currently? How are you selling currently? What is your product or service? Who are you selling to? Do you want to keep selling to them? And so we do a lot of sort of just asset collection, target audience, diving in, because saying something in any media that's hitting the audience is not going to convert anyway. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first really big thing is stopping and saying, what have you done? What is working? What are you trying to sell? How long does it sell? And then getting a little game plan around their entire marketing and sales outcomes, and then figuring out how we're going to sort of write a prescription plan for getting there. Yeah. We really think more in the lines of content and what are we producing in general that represents the brand, both on the professional development personality side as well as the product or service side. And it can be both or one heavier than the other. And then figuring out what tools and resources and pieces we're going to tap in or, turn the lever on and off.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that is social media and using social media for thought leadership and exposure, because a lot of our clients are professional technical services. And so thought leadership is what makes them stand apart from another law firm or engineering firm or contractor. And so we're trying to always figure out what is their brand personality? How do they speak? what exemplifies what they do, and then what is the content that really drives that.
Yeah.
And so it really all goes back to strategy in the beginning.
You talked about operating systems and EOS and things like that. And, I've read all the EOS books. We use a version of our operating system, which some of the tools that EOS teaches, we use some of those things. But one of the things that we were super intentional about when we first started our organization was understanding our values and who our ideal client was. And you're talking about who you marketing to, and the answer, and you tell me, give me feedback, but like when people tell me or ask me, how are you everywhere? And I tell people all the time, if I'm sitting at a restaurant and there's 5 real estate agents in the room and 5 business owners, and then there's a whole bunch of people who are, in other areas or are not working, or the agents and the business owners, if I say, do you know who Arena is? They're going to all say yes. And everybody else in the room is going to say, well, I've never heard of them. That's because I'm intentionally marketing to my ideal client. And so those people see my stuff. And that person who happens to be talking to me is my ideal client. So of course they see my stuff. And so we were very intentional about getting down to the nitty gritty when it talks about who's your ideal client. When somebody walks in the front door of my building or is walking down the street, I know whether they're my ideal client or not within 10 seconds of having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And I know where my ideal client's going to be. So I know that if I spend my dollars on TikTok, my ideal client's not there, right? My ideal client's going to be on Facebook and Instagram. So like we spend most of our time there, and some YouTube and LinkedIn, but I'm not going to TikTok. I'm not spending my time there. And if you go there, you won't see a ton of me there. But my ideal client's on Facebook and Instagram, so that's where they see me. And so we've narrowed our ideal client down to a lot of detail. And what I like to tell people is there's 2 questions that are really fun to answer whenever you really know who they are. It's what is their goal? Like what is your client trying to accomplish? What problem are you going to solve for them? And what are the 3 to 5 things in between where your client's at and where they want to be, where their goal is? And once you've identified those 3 to 5 things, all you have to do in your content is just push on those things over and over and over and over and over again, to where they're going to know and see that, okay, I want to be there. They're going to help me solve the 3 to 5 problems for me to get there, or one of them. So now that's who I'm going to call, because they know what I need and where I'm trying to go. Is that a good idea and description of how you help your clients, or how else are you helping your clients identify who they're targeting? Is it different? Is there more to it than that?
That's a good question. No, I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, we want to get in front of, we want to put out marketing where their target audience is looking.
Yeah.
Like you just said. So,
A lot of it sometimes is just starting with really simple questions like, who did you work with in the last 18 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they'll tell you, like sometimes they can't answer the questions you just said, but they
Right.
can
A
go
lot of
pull
times.
their invoicing history, and you're like, great. Is there anyone on this list who you can't stand? Because if you can't stand them and they don't pay well, or they're a pain to deal with, or you like aren't aligned with their values, like they're immediately off the list. We
Yeah.
don't even need to talk to them again.
Yeah.
And then we say, who did you love working with and why? And then they start to say, oh, well, this company did this and this and this, and it was a really fun project because of these things. And then we start to kind of figure out this, we don't use a ton of jargon with our clients because we're just not jargony people, but like buyer persona is a really, big thing in marketing speak. And what we want to know, and even for ourselves, it's like, who do we love working with? Well, we know why we love working with them. And so we can keep showing up in a space where it's that type of, person, company, that's doing, for us, a lot of our clientele, the people that we're enthused by and we sort of nerd out over what they're doing. That's how our spidey senses go up, because we're like, we're really curious about what they're doing. And so if we ask enough questions, then we get to keep learning. It puts us in the right rooms. I've just kind of learned over 20 years of being in marketing and business development. Like if you are genuine and you ask questions, people will invite you to their table sometimes. Yeah. And so I just have gotten in the habit of asking a lot of questions. Yeah. And it's put us in some really cool places. It's gotten to invite us into some really cool, spaces. And one of our values is to keep learning. And because we do a lot of work in economic development, commercial real estate development, highly technical fields where there's like capital stacks and financing things we've never heard of before. And there's these like multi-public private partnerships that take 10, years to put together. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. And so we keep showing up because we want to work with those people. We want to work with people in technical spaces who are doing really impactful things in their communities, specifically around the built environment. And as marketers, like, we know that we're not tax accountants, and we're okay with that. But what we can do for a tax accounting firm in that space is ask about their work and ask about their projects they're working on, and ask to spotlight their clients who are doing great things. And then suddenly we're in this amazing conversation with 4 different firms working together to build some amazing thing that's going to impact the community. And by the way, it gives us like 4 different content pieces, because now we've just learned a whole bunch of stuff, videoed a few things, taken a few pictures of people in a room together, and then we're doing this reuse, recycling of our own sort of intellectual gain that helps us with content and with learning. So it's sort of like, how are we doing it for our clients and also for ourselves as we're really kind of getting into the niche that we want to work with.
Yeah, it's funny where you have media people, marketing people who run their own business and don't even know who their ideal client is themselves. So how do you like teach somebody else how to do if you don't understand how to identify that? I think it's a great question to ask them, like, which projects are you enjoying working on, which ones are you not like working on, and trying to figure out a common denominator between them, and then being able to figure out, like, how did you land this client? What did they do differently than other people? What problem did you solve for them? Let's push on that button as we're promoting you throughout the world, or wherever, the internet, to make sure that other people who have that same problem know that you exist and that you can help solve that problem. I think it's great. And then, so when it comes to like the technical side for you guys, and like you'll hear people talk about ROI in the media space, right? How do you work around that whole ROI piece when it comes to how you calculate ROI for your magazines and the social media presence and a podcast and things like that? How do you have that conversation with your clients whenever they are onboarding with you?
This is a hard question for us.
It's challenging because marketing, and we face this all the time, like especially with all of our clients. They obviously want to measure, they want to benchmark, and they want to see like, how is our marketing working? Like, what is the ROI? It's kind of hard though, because there's a lot of gray area with marketing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not selling widgets.
Yeah. Right.
So I kind of say, like, well, if we're selling Nikes, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
That's easier.
But if we're promoting your brand and your reputation, we're not going to know. You might not close a deal on this special thing for 18 months or something. That's very real in our clients' world.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is word of mouth feedback. They have a sense if a campaign has worked. Yes, we look at insights and things on social. We do a lot that combines sort of like a social media campaign with an actual client outreach campaign. Yeah. And so for us, what we can do is say, okay, you sent something really special and targeted to your top 20 prospects. What happened? And then we get their business development team and we say, like, did you have interesting conversations? Did that promote something? Did someone tag you in their response? And so for us, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of it is like a conversational, like qualitative response that they feel really good about the outcome.
Yeah.
And we're not going to always be able to say we sold 25 Nikes today.
Yeah.
And a lot of our clients, like Rachel said, we're not just operating like in a silo. We're not just giving marketing services for them. We're usually coming in, they either have a small marketing team already or not, but they usually always have a sales team. And like that's a whole other like can of worms with like marketing versus sales. Like, what's the difference? How do they complement one another? But I think it's easier to measure when we're working on marketing campaigns with their sales teams, because obviously they support one another, but it's also easier to measure.
It's simple to me. When the salesperson walks into a room and somebody knows who they are, the marketing's working, because they already have awareness of who you are before you walk in, right? That's the real difference to me. I think marketing just brings awareness. The sales part of it allows you to walk in the room and have that warm handoff as opposed to walking in cold.
Right.
And there's like a chicken before the egg type of thing, right? You can market a whole bunch, but if you don't have sales yet, then you're going to be spending money without having anything coming in.
Right.
Your sales team is going out there cold. They have to do that at some point. And then once you have enough business coming in, then you can start investing in marketing and make your sales more efficient.
That's very valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we run into that a lot.
Yeah. But it's great. I'm glad you said that, because in my mind, a lot of people who are needing services like you guys are saying, I'm a solo person. I started this business as a founder. I might have 3 employees that are doing more of like the operations for my organization, but I'm sales and marketing. I need somebody to come in and automate this, and I'm just going to go focus on what I do, right? And so there's really just you guys are kind of out there creating your own marketing for this organization because it was just this one founder that was doing that. But if you're working with a sales team, now you can utilize them to help with the marketing,
Exactly.
right? You're going to be the one going out in the room, so let's get you in the room to create some video. Let's get you in the room to do an article in a magazine spotlighting you as a person and all that type of stuff in the right places, to the right audience to allow you to grow.
Yep.
I think that's great because, somebody like us, we have a marketing person on staff, 2 of them, but having some direction and some strategy and being able to offer that to the team is something valuable that a company like ours would find because I don't know anything about marketing. They are very good at certain aspects of marketing, but just having a perspective of seeing the market and seeing other businesses from your perspective is something that people don't do around here. There's not like a strategist, third-party coaching, consulting company around that I know of that helps people with giving the strategy part of it. They all want to push the buttons and charge you per post and all that type of stuff. And there's not a ton of offering of saying like, y'all can do that. That's the technical button pushing part of it. But I'm going to help you with the bigger picture and seeing the forest through the trees and creating a plan.
We do that.
Yeah.
And I would say, even if we met your first example, guy who owns the business, like we're not going to let you just hand off anything to us that doesn't exist in our world. Because if there's a, like curtain that closes and then you walk away and then this is not authentically your brand. Like when we say all the time, this is not our company. This is your company. So this is what we think could work for you. Let's talk through it. And I mean, I was on a call with a client this morning and I was like, okay, I have an idea. You have to yes, no, maybe this because I don't work there. I have ideas. I have things I think will work, but you have to say if this matches what I believe your culture is. And so the solopreneur, you still got to get on a call with us, and we make it so easy to connect with us. And we sort of joke, like, if you can text us, if you can email us, if you can give us a hand full of sticky notes, if we can get something from you, we can create from it. Yeah. But you can't walk away and go to China for 3 years and expect us to run a campaign for you. That's not happening. So we don't allow that. We sort of manage through that.
That's good. Clear expectations. I mean, I think you have to, and I think that's, again, another thing that agencies miss sometimes is those clear expectations.
And then, the other thing that we love doing is working with in-house marketing teams. And at first, sometimes there's this sort of like, not quite sure. And what is beautiful about it is that we have all worked in-house before, so we know what it's like. We know what it's like to work alone. We know what it's like to work under and above someone. And so we are really seamless and low ego about how we work with any of our clients, no matter what their age or experience level is. And so we do come in and, sort of do this, take a step back, audit approach sometimes of what's happening. Mm-hmm. And if you only have 1 or 2 people, like where do we think you could either augment something to us, and we do that plenty, or let us give you some, strategic help and sort of like objectives, goals, even we do posting calendars for some clients. And then you can go get the video in the field. You don't necessarily need to pay us to go do that, but we'll help you sort of thematically plan it and then let you do it. And so part of our strategy is sort of this cafeteria menu of ideas and thoughts and campaigns and BD outreach and all the things that we think work together for most of our clients. And then we let you say what is a right now thing, or maybe a next month thing, what you want us to go do, what you want to do. Yeah. And with some of our best clients, I mean, we have weekly to monthly calls depending on how they want to do it. And we just literally go through an agenda of what fits within our strategy. And they say, can you do that? We'll do that. Can you do that? We'll do that. And we just go through and basically do like a responsibility matrix and say, our team's got that. You got that. Cool. We'll talk in a month. Yeah. And so we do very much break things out in a way that is comfortable for them.
Yeah. So I have two questions from that. The first one is, what's your mindset around when you bring on a company and as the marketing person, you're helping grow their organization, right? And I think I know the answer to this, but there's a mindset of you almost working yourself out of the job, right? Because the more that they grow, the more they're going to have the resources eventually to bring it in-house, And
sure.
But I believe, just like a law firm, right? Person gets big enough, they have their own in-house counsel, right? Or that they grow beyond, like a CPA, they grow beyond needing a CPA outsourced, they have somebody in-house. But there's a certain point in my mind, if you're good enough at your job and you add enough value, you see the long-term bigger picture, that you get paid that upfront bulk of your value, because you're going to be working and doing most of the work. But as you grow and scale, if you think about it practically, if I can hold on to this relationship longer by helping them find somebody and helping coach that person up and consult them and be a valuable resource and not feel like I have to have all of that all the time, you can have a longer term relationship with somebody and help them get where they're going faster if it's both of y'all working toward the same path. Am I on track with that?
Yeah. I've never actually, I mean,
We do a lot of training to our CEOs, employees, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like free advice within our retainage.
Yeah.
Where we literally are teaching them how to do our jobs.
Yeah.
So to say that we are
we
selfless
haven't-
in that, if someone is paying us to help them and they ask us to train someone on their staff to do something we're doing, and they're giving us the trust of that retainage or that contract, I feel like from a responsibility and a work ethic standpoint that it is our job to help them better their business.
Yeah.
If they said, Rachel, we need to like paint the lobby on Saturday, and I was able to do it, I might help with that because
You get content while you're
it's
doing
true.
it, though.
Absolutely.
we would. It's just, we want to show up and be of
Yeah.
service. We want their teams to do better. And our best clients refer us, and our proximity to them gets us more work. And so if we have to like do a little extra on the training, or all of our client files we share back with them. We don't hold anything hostage because I don't believe in that. So they could literally take what we do and go replicate it. And, I don't want them selling it to their clients, but we give them our files, we give them our raw information, because that's the way that I believe that their work should be manipulated and used later. And I think there's a lot of karma with treating people well.
Yeah.
And I think the proximity to our best clients has gotten us a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so, we try to just, in the simplest way, be good people about what we do. And I think that resonates. And I think people see that about us and makes them want to work with us.
Have you read Giver's Gain, the book Giver's Gain? I mean,
No,
it's
but
it's a great book. It's all about the more you put out in the world and give.
More you
One of the authors said, like, the more people you help get what they want, people are going to help you get what you want.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that to be true, and that's just how we operate on the law firm side of our practice too. Sometimes we give people a form that they can go and use for themselves later, and they don't have to pay us for it over and over again. And it's just, how can I help
do
your
that all
business?
the time.
Yeah, how can I help your business grow? I mean, that's
Yeah.
people who have that mentality, especially around here, South Louisiana. It's going to come back to you, no doubt. But I truly believe that the business y'all are in, the more that you do that, the more that you're going to have people hold on to your relationship longer term and utilize you as a strategist, because that's what y'all keep saying over and over again. Y'all are strategists. There's not as much value in pushing the buttons as there is understanding how to help you grow and get to the next level. Because every time you're scaling in business, the marketing, the mindset, how you adapt is going to change.
And the tools change.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes what is nice about working in several different types of businesses is that we can say, hey, look, we've seen a different business, not your competitor, do this project. You can't do the same project, but what you could do is use this and this and this, and we could maybe approach your clients with this thing that we've done over here. Can we show it to you? Yeah. And so for us, being able to just see what other people are doing is really helpful. And we obviously are very careful about competitors, just like you are in your business. We're not ever going to like give away someone's, secrets or, secret sauce, but we can say, hey, look, this is an idea that we think could work for you. Would you consider this? And so that's been really fun to just pitch new ideas, get people a little out of their comfort zone and rhythm. When you have an in-house team, that team has certain things that are on their deadline list every month. So them creating something that's like a really one-off special client gift or a really different video project that doesn't fit in with their normal rigor of their week. So that's where a lot of times they'll say, oh, we'd love to do that. Can you help project manage that? And so we'll do these sort of over and above projects that are hard sometimes to pull someone on your everyday team it might be someone who has like 2 or 3 hats.
Yeah.
And then we keep them in the loop, and they obviously contribute, and but we don't need them to push the ball down the road. And I think that's where there's a comfort level with especially the owners that we work for, because they can, it's an ROI thing to them in a different way, that they can literally see the beginning and end of the projects that they've asked for or that they were part of planning, and that those things equivalate to something as the year goes on.
You said that some marketing people have 1 or 2 or 3 hats. My marketing team's gonna laugh and say, "I have 100 hats."
Yeah, they all wear a lot of hats.
So when it comes to the participation of the actual client, right? Like, one of the things that I've seen some marketing companies do is that if you look across all their brands, there's a similarity in look to all of them because it's them that are creating the brand. But you said it earlier that you're very intentional about letting them know you can't put the curtain down, leave, skip town, and expect us to create something for you. How do you create and get the culture of the organization to come out through what the services you're offering if you're not there every day, like holding their hand or getting the organic shot? How do you help them figure that out? And how do you make sure that you're using their brand and their unique look to make them look like them and be genuine and not y'all's stuff?
That's a...
We have a really good graphics department.
Yeah.
So
And
that
we follow.
helps.
We
helps
very
a lot.
rarely like step into projects that have zero. I mean, sometimes we do, like where they have no branding or no guidelines or anything. Sometimes actually that's a fun project too. We like that as well.
We do brand development. So in that regard, it would be either rebranding something they have or starting from scratch. Most of the time, our clients have style guides.
Gotcha.
And at least a starting point. Like, they might have some assets that they've used before, and they at least can say, I hate this one, I like this one.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they have had graphics people in the past like develop something for them, and they could say, like, we really like the look of this one, or we don't like what we did for this. We're actually doing that with a client now that had a whole marketing team do this entire brand overhaul for them, and then the CEO was like, I don't like it. So
but that is one of our core services is brand management and like brand maintenance, accurate brand maintenance. So, I mean, it's not like we need the client to constantly be answering our calls at all times. Like, they can go away. We can totally do things without them. But I don't know. I think that is a differentiator, is that we're not doing cookie cutter. We're not providing cookie cutter results. Like, every single project, for better or for worse, sometimes for worse, like, we spend a lot of time learning the brand and making sure it is in their voice. Like, we're not just punching out like the same.
Yeah. I know a lot of business owners who don't find enough value in marketing, and they'll be like, well, this person offers this $50 a month login, you can pull their flyer templates off. But like, again, there's no,
we don't do that.
Yeah, there's no genuine aspect to that. You've got to have your own, you got to have your own stamp on the things that you're doing. And you as a manager have to know what my vision and the look that I'm trying to portray is, so that it feels genuine whenever I'm going over something. I've seen people try to act like somebody else on a social media video when they don't have that person's personality. And you see right through that. And so I wanted to make sure that we highlighted the fact that y'all do that, and y'all make sure that it's a unique perspective and that you don't just plug them into the same Canva templates that you use for your other clients.
We're anti-Canva, so put that on record.
We are so anti-Canva. I don't think that's popular to say.
It's not. But like,
we are Adobe and designers. I'm sorry, just through and through. Like, I can't
it's
do
easier
Canva.
to like, I guess like from our perspective, like back like 6-7 years ago, like being in After Effects, like motion graphics.
Yeah.
If I could just pull a little freaking plant, that would change my life 5 years ago.
That makes sense.
Like,
that makes sense.
But we internally,
That's fine.
like our one of our videographers, he's like a really good designer, and so like I see a graphic, the screenshot of the screenshot, and like they cannot find the PDF or anything like that. He's like, oh, I can just go in Illustrator and like fix it up, make it like really high res. I'm like, that's why it's the best.
Yes.
Yep. Like for the little stuff,
You're using it for like parts and pieces, but
parts and pieces, not like full design.
Full templating, and that's where things look generic. And so if we laid out the last 10 graphic oriented projects that we did, because we do some content writing where there's little graphics, we do physical coaching. I mean, so there's not like one way that we have a deliverable, it's not like this one set of deliverables. But if we laid out the last 10 things on the table, like, you would not be able to say these all came from the same people, because they don't look the same. And we do a lot of this like questioning about their intention and their, purpose in their community and in their sector, and what does it feel like to them, and what do they want their employees to feel like. And I'm really big about like internal marketing and culture building being the sort of like launch pad for external culture. And if it doesn't all line up, then it's bullshit anyway. And so a lot of that is like, where is your internal, office? Where are those people? How do they feel? What do they do? And how do you build kind of from that and form the onion from there?
So good. I mean, we're so adamant about, and I've never really put it that way. When you walk in this building, you get the same vibe that you do whenever you see us on the camera, or whenever you're seeing us walk down the street, or you see us at a network event. We want it to be the same. That's why we ultimately built this building and bought it back whenever we opened Arena, because this embodied who we all were as an organization, and we designed it that way. And I think our social media portrays that and our marketing portrays that, but that's so important to make, like, the whole picture has to come together. If you see something on social media and then you walk in, totally different experience when you walk in the door, and the staff acts totally different. It's just, the things just don't connect, and people can see through that, especially in a small town like even New Orleans and our area region on the North Shore. It's just, people are from here. They know what it's like to be here. They see you around town. It's too small of a community out to, and they can see if you're not being genuine at work and at home, and when you're hanging out with your kids, and whenever you're, out having dinner at a local restaurant. They see that. I think it's hugely important to understand what you just said. That's great.
Yeah,
I think it's great. So I want to talk a little bit about video marketing, just because we own a video production company. And so, because you're not just social media, you're helping the marketing strategy. How do y'all find that video fits into an overall marketing strategy for somebody?
We use video a lot, especially lately.
Rachel is a big video person.
You've had like 3 or 4 big video projects in the last 6 months.
One of them, yes, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, so we love video for the same reason that we love content, because there's so many ways to reuse video. And so we encourage people who want to invest in video to think a little farther beyond the right now product. And so we interview videographers pretty frequently for our clients.
Yes.
And so we ask questions like, can we have raw footage? Can we take that 3-minute promo video and ask you to pull a 45-second snip from it later? Can you give us a still from second 30? Can you, and so we like when people are like working with us to figure out how to, we sort of say, like, get the most juice for the squeeze. Like, if we're going to have a client invest in something, what else can we do with it? And so we've done some really cool things lately with mailers that open up and are very targeted to like a high level target list, that do like a little video introduction to a brand, which is super cool.
Like with a screen?
With a screen.
Wow.
This is one of our
That's wild.
most favorite recent projects. Can we just dive into it just for a second?
Sure, I'd love
I
it.
get really, like, this was
really cool.
when we were looking at the scripts before, and it was like, what is the wildest piece of content you've ever created? This is not wild by any means, but this is certainly like my favorite piece of marketing that we did recently for a client. And it was, well, the project was to celebrate like a very significant historic renovation, adaptive reuse.
In a new community for
In a
this client.
brand, yeah. So their brand presence was like fairly minimal. So we sent these really cool elevated boxes. It could take me 4 hours to talk about this project. So, okay, we sent these really cool boxes. The whole thing was like wrapped and branded and looked just like the renovation. Inside, you open it. There were these like very nostalgic viewfinders, the ones we used to hold up as kids, and it would flip. And so it showed like the before, the rendering, like how the building looked in the 1840s or whatever, with the original family standing in front smiling. And then you flip again and it's the rendering of like what it can look like. And then it's under construction. It was just showing the evolution of the project.
How much feedback did you get from that?
And there were...
Wait, what was your question?
Did you get some feedback?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, we got incredible feedback.
Because it's a plate, you're not gonna like get this and not open it.
Yeah, of course.
And then you're gonna
Or
play
throw
with
it away either.
Yes.
Like that's
So
not something.
It's a cool nostalgic piece, and it was, the building is nostalgic, so it made sense. And then with that too came this like trifold, custom designed, very like high quality. When I think of like a video mailer, I think of it very pixelated and like kind of scratchy.
Yeah, like
this
those-
was super high def. in the middle has the video, has a brand video of this company talking about this is who we are.
Introducing them to a new market.
Yeah.
And here again, you're not going to throw it away. They're reloadable, I think.
Yeah.
So they came loaded, but they let you reload them. So we even have another sort of like spin-off client where we're even thinking about doing something one step past that, where they actually have targeted videos to each, maybe like 5 clients in this sector and 5 clients in this sector, where the actual video would change. And so we're going to basically see if the videography team will peel off maybe like bookends of this video and maybe like the meat of the middle, whatever the videographers would call that, so that they're slightly, aimed to that client type. So that's sort of like, different service areas, but how we're like continually thinking like, well, what else can we do with this? What else can we do with this? And so a video gift is not something we had done before, but it was super fun. We love working with clients who say,
yes,
that sounds interesting.
Who just
Let's
say
try
yes
it. Right. We like
Yes.
the people who are
Neat.
like, yes.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And then of course, while you're working on that video, yes, you can share it on your website. Yes, you can pull a piece for social. Yes, you can add it to your onboarding package. And so, we were laughing on the way here about like our favorite topics to talk about when we're on a panel or something, but reuse of content is like our favorite topic, because we never want someone to use something once. That's a waste.
Yeah.
And so like, how can we take stills from a video? How can we use that video in a gift? How can we break it apart and make it for social media posts? How can we use it for culture building in your onboarding in your HR department? And so we're always trying to go at least 3 or 4 steps past that. And video is so juicy for that type of use, beyond just like, oh, that was a cool video for social. Not that we don't love cool videos for social, but the only other thing I want to say about video is that I'm finding that a lot of people are hesitant about video because they think everything has to be commercial grade video.
Yeah.
And that is not true with social media. And I think that there are certain use cases for raw, conversational, this is just who we are videography. And I think that that's different than like, here's a promo video on the banner of our website. I think that's obviously different, but I would love to encourage business owners and marketing teams to think about, using a clip-on mic that you can get off Amazon, trying to cut down on background noise. Don't do something in a room that's not well lit. But you can do a lot with an iPhone if you're doing personal brand building, where you're just talking to a camera and adding captions and being really raw about what your team does and what you do. That doesn't have to be perfect. And I think viewers are smart enough to say that was produced. Cool. That's really them raw, also cool for different reasons.
And when you say produced, are you mean more scripted type stuff or just dialogue and conversation in that way?
Like people thinking that it needs to be a perfect,
Yeah.
Anything
edited,
Like
like
no
lighting,
cuts or
everything.
whatever.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like then they end up putting nothing out because they want it to be perfect. And that is so,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that, period. So, but I think right to Rachel's point, it's better to put out a balance of both
Yeah.
and have actual,
to have nothing like
Presence, yeah.
not like paralysis,
Yeah.
analysis paralysis, where it's
Yeah.
like not perfect. People know when it's like homegrown. People know when it's produced. There is even, $1 million businesses. There is a use case for both of them, in my
I
opinion.
mean, Coca-Cola doing UGC stuff or whatever, or like other Celsius brands and all that. Like, that's the gateway drug, is just filming yourself, and then eventually you can, now we need a brand video. We're more established or whatever. But that's a good point though. Like squeezing out as much as you can for video. Like one of the things that we do for our brand videos or what we did for a security system company it's basically the same video, but we changed the call to action at the end of like, join our team. We're glad you're here. And then this is our company. So like,
great.
so they would send the email to the video to the person, like, hey, welcome to our team. This is us. And then join our team, send it all out to their marketing people, whatever. But then of course, like the raw footage, like you can squeeze out a brand video. It's not just a quote unquote expensive 2.5-minute video. You get a lot of assets because there's lighting, you call in employees that are trying to, coming in on a day, maybe they're off work, but like they're like the best people or whatever. Relatively the face of the company, been there forever. And you want to squeeze that out of it, and you can totally do that for 4 hours, 5 hours or a film day. You get a lot of marketing assets out of that.
Yeah, and I
know?
think a good videography team can help you figure out some of those things.
Yeah.
They can say, hey, we have these 3 really good clips, you know, let's put that in your package. We'll take 2 or 3 things and retool these for a culture video or something. And the other thing that I think is always interesting, hence why we're sitting here having a podcast about how businesses operate, is going one step beyond that. And when you have your 3 best employees sitting in front of a camera and a mic, you're having someone else video them in the process of working with the videographer. And then you're saying, hey, our team is working on upgrading our brand. This is our, video production day. This is what is going on. We're working with, this media company. Then you're giving these sort of like nice shout outs to other businesses, which I always think is like a giver's gain thing. And then in 3 weeks, when you get the video back, you can like reference, now we're going to share this with you. And it shows people, it's sort of the how-to mentality. Like we all look up how-to videos, but okay, I want to hire a brand production company. What does that mean? Yeah. Oh, okay, it looks like this. They come in with the light. They come in with this mic. Okay, that seems doable. Maybe I should call them. And so I think that there's a lot that can be content if you just think about what's happening, and it can be really normal, everyday business stuff that other people might want to know about that are in a similar type business.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people I think people don't do video because they don't know how. They think it's too expensive, and they're scared of getting in front of the camera. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. I mean, we've done 75 podcast episodes at this point, so it's like just having a light on the camera. It's just like me having a conversation without it on. But it's interesting to see people come in and they do it and like, oh, this is really easy to sit down and do it, right? And I find that the people that are the most nervous about it haven't gone to the foundational stuff that you both talked about at the beginning, when it was like who your ideal client is, who your audience is, how do you solve their problem, what are their goals. If you know all that, all you're doing is talking about all the stuff on the camera.
Or just talking to your friends, because that's like your only reference of like who you'd be talking to on social media.
For sure.
Like, you don't know who you're talking to, so you're just kind of talking to mom or something.
Yeah.
And if you just break it down and do some 101 things about like what you do, like what is a will, what is a power of attorney, what are these things, helps people understand what they are, and so they're not hearing foreign legal gibberish whenever I talk to them usually, right? What really clicked in my brain though is when I found out when I realized who my ideal client was and my values. Then I started saying, instead of saying, this is what a power of attorney is, I would say, if you're a business owner looking to grow your business, this is why a power of attorney is valuable.
Yeah.
And I could be a lot more intentional about what I'm saying. Now, the person who's not a business owner might still think, oh, I need a power of attorney because of this reason, but definitely my ideal client heard what I was saying.
Yeah.
And so it got easier to do video once I knew exactly who I was trying to get in front of and who I was trying to add value to, and I could ask those questions to help them grow.
That's a good point, by like even taking it a step further and asking the question for them. Why, or answering the question for them.
But like we found on the tracking our videos, with the most productive ones it's like, if you're a business owner and you're struggling to grow your business, this is what you need to know about operating systems. And like immediately, if they hear, if I'm struggling to grow or hit a ceiling, I want to know what they have to say about operating systems, and they stay longer on your video. Again, if I just started that by saying, an operating system is important because people are going to be like, I don't know what that is and why it matters to me.
Yeah.
But if I'm a business owner, I heard you say it, and I'm struggling to grow, let me hear what the next thing is. Keeps people on there longer.
Yeah.
And video's been fun now because I know how it intentionally helps me grow my business. Same with print ads. Like people always are like, print ads are dead. They're done. Well,
print is so alive.
It's so alive.
It really is.
Yes, Rachel and I always say that. Like it is not dead at all.
It's not dead. And if you again know who your ideal client is, you know which magazines to add to write in, how to write your article that's going to speak to that person. I wrote an article for Chifuncta Stroll, and Chifuncta Gales is going to be mad at me because I don't know exactly what the magazine is called. The one for Chifuncta Neighborhood. And I wrote about the difference between a traditional and a reverse 1031 exchange, right? And it was like, if you're a bit investor looking to grow your portfolio, this is a tax deferred strategy to help you save on taxes when you're selling real estate. And like, that is somebody in that neighborhood who's a business owner or investor is going to want to read that article. And I want them to think about me whenever they're doing a real estate deal. So video has been a lot of fun for us. I mean, having Ledet Media as a partner of the collective, we get to strategize on how we can make our videos better, and we get to a lot of repetition and tries at being in front of the camera. And we've done a lot in front of the camera now, and I want other businesses to know how valuable it can be and how many different ways you can use it. It doesn't just have to be the short form you put on Facebook every day.
Yeah.
It can be used a million different ways for a million different reasons and attract the right people if you use it the right way.
So 2 things that I learned from a book writing program that I did about 2 years ago. Number 1, letting people self-identify themselves through what you just talked about, saying what it is and what you're solving and going, ooh, that's me. That's what keeps people reading entire books. So that is part of the strategy of if you're writing, especially a book for a business focus or even self-help, but you're like asking people to raise their hand.
Yeah.
And they go, ooh, I need to read this, that they're talking to me. So that's like a huge part about engagement and connection. And then, just secondly, about how incorporating print advertising with thought leadership, it's not just like a pretty picture, but if you can pull it into something where there's an advertorial or you're sharing information, you're having a conversation, kind of maybe a one-sided conversation with the person who's going to read it in the magazine later. Like you're leaving these breadcrumbs of certainty and trust that they could call if they see you in the grocery store. They're gonna be like, hey, I saw that article that you wrote about the thing, can I ask you a question? Whereas if they had never read that, they might see you in the grocery store and say, hey, but you're putting these like little breadcrumbs of reputation for the world to see, offering a little bit of free advice with the notion that it's putting you a little bit on a pedestal about your education, and not in a braggy way, but in a like, I'm here to serve you way.
Yeah.
And one of the things for 2 years that Olivia and I have been trying to do, specifically in the commercial development space, because we're trying to learn and show up, is just asking good questions. We interview a lot of people who are doing projects in that space to highlight what they're doing. Similarly to kind of your mission with this podcast is like having good conversations with people that could help others, talking about change making, talking a little bit about issues that need to be solved in lots of communities. And so part of that is giving us content. Part of it is putting our name repetitively in front of people. And then we, just get bubbled over with like joy when we walk in a room somewhere and sometimes we wear like the metal name tags, which I'll mention that in a second too, about personal branding. And they say, oh, Rachel, 3090, I've heard of y'all. And we're like, because it gives you this sense of like, we're putting things out into the world as much as we can. And we're trying to show up, and someone has reviewed it and heard of our name and what we're trying to do. And it makes the conversation so much easier. One of our tricks in networking is the nicer printed metal name tags, that magnet. This is more of a sales thing, but I think it is heavily tied to marketing.
I almost wore mine today, actually.
They know your name.
Have.
Number 1, I hate the sticky things that like
Fall
off, or
Hello,
like
my name
if you're
is-
wearing a silk and that. But something really special about when someone else can know your name, especially if they think they've met you before, is that there is a comfort level when they walk up and they think they know you, but they can't remember your name or are not sure. And they can see your company and your name on your shirt and they can go, oh, Jared, I met you last year at the conference. It's so good to see you. And it puts them at ease so that they feel like you're more approachable. It's this like strange thing that I see happen all the time with us when I'm talking to people at conferences. And for networking and connection, even if you have to say, oh yes, I remember meeting you. What was your name again? Because it's okay that you don't remember every single person's name.
Yeah.
But for the face value, the name recognition, letting someone else feel comfortable and their entree into you again is so important on that relationship building. And so
I have a name tag. I never wear it, but now I'm gonna start wearing it.
I might get
at
one.
conferences, I'm not talking about like sitting around in the office.
Not to dinner.
It is true. Like,
You know?
Yeah, no,
Can't do that.
that's a huge no.
but if you go to a networking event, there is always that apprehension of going because you don't necessarily know if you're going to know anybody there. I mean, after as a grown up, sometimes, or at least I guess some people probably still feel that way. I don't get nervous going in a room, but it's nice to be able to connect with somebody that you know. And it's the worst thing. I was at a networking event the other day, and I was talking to this girl who I've met a million times. I meet a lot of people in the closing room, right? Tons of people. And I see them all the time. I recognize their face, but I don't remember their name. And she was like, you don't remember my name, do you? I'm like, God, dog. Like no. The answer is no. But like, if we had name tags on it, would have been a nice little refresher, and it would have been a little bit of an easier conversation.
Or you got to save yourself and say, "Where do I remember you from?" And then they're like, "Okay, he at least remembers."
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes.
He knows that I know that we met at some point.
Yeah.
I definitely knew the person. But anyway, I think it's great. I think I don't usually wear a name tag, and I've kind of been like, it seems gimmicky sometimes when you go to some events.
We agree.
But
sometimes we feel goofy. But
if you go to a conference,
it's a
it is great to
conversation
be able to
piece.
shake somebody's hand and be able to call them by their name and remember.
Or
them.
also,
Yeah.
when they kind of know who you are and might hire you, don't you want them to know who the hell you are? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if you go to a breakfast meeting with 12 people every Monday, you don't need to wear your name tag. But if you're walking into a room, part of the personal branding is having people remember you, and or if you cold call them later that they answer the phone, then having that repetition and reminding them of your name and your company name does help, in my opinion.
All right, so we're going to have another conversation on the camera a different day.
Okay.
Because we could talk all day. Because we didn't talk about personal branding. We didn't talk about Dell's system that y'all operate your business. I do love the big L's ranting about that,
Yeah.
but I've got to go. My phone's clearly mad at me because I'm not.
You have another podcast.
Yeah, I do. So, but it was great. Both of y'all, congrats on the baby. Can't wait
Thanks.
till the baby gets here, to meet y'all's kid.
Can he be your intern? He wants to work here.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to
Scott and I
have.
are really trying to push like an entrepreneurial path for him. He doesn't
We have an
pick.
internship program. Usually you start at about 18 years old, but 18 weeks we
Fresh
can
out.
make it. Yeah,
Get
anyway.
to work.
So cool. Well, I appreciate you coming. I hope people call
you.
you after they watch this video. I hope you repurpose this and use it a
Yes,
million different
we
ways.
will.
We're happy to give it to you so you can use it in whatever way you want. But it was a great conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
It's been great fun.